My name is Zach Marrero. I play running back for Strasburg in the class of 2023.
My name is Landen Martin. I play quarterback for Strasburg in the class of 2024.
My name is Kaleb Hart. I play cornerback, running back for Strasburg in the class of 2023.
And you're listening to the Playmakers Corner.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. First off, thank you for tuning in here. We got a very special interview here with some boys from the Strasburg Highschool football team out here in Colorado. Let me go ahead and throw it to y'all. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, your names, what position you play, and what class you are.
I'm Landen Martin. I'm a quarterback. I'm a junior in the class of 2024.
My name is Zach Marrero. I play running back and strong safety in the class of 2023.
I'm Kaleb Hart. I play cornerback, running back in the class of 2023.
Boys, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Obviously, you know it's all love over here. We got y'all regardless, but this is going to be dope. And, Landon, you were on this episode, well, not this episode, but on an interview with us last year with our guy Matthias Brown, who's over at UNK right now. And so you already been through these, but, tradition's tradition. I got to ask these other boys, Kaleb and Zach here, our traditional 2 intro questions, little icebreakers, kind of just to get to know y'all. And so I'll go ahead and say the first question, let y'all answer it, and then I'll say the second question after that, just, so you can think about it a little bit here. But, look, obviously, y'all are great football players and whatnot. What are some, what's your favorite memory from football or something like that? Or maybe not even football, but what's like one of your favorite sports memories that you're participating in? Could literally be any sport as long as you're like actively participating in this memory, like you're an athlete in this memory.
I'll take that one first. My favorite sports memory is probably the Centauri semifinal football game, the COVID year. That game was a lot of fun. We were down 14-0 going into half. We were all on edge. We were trying to make it to the state finals once again, and we came back out and we ended up rallying and scoring 28 unanswered, and we won that game 28-14. So the comeback feeling, the camaraderie, just the entire vibe and feeling around that game is easily my favorite football memory.
Yeah, definitely that Centauri game, but also for me, this Highland game this past year, for me, that vibe just felt completely different. We were all locked in. It was a great game, very competitive, and I loved it.
Y'all have been part of this football program for a minute, man. So, and this is a great football program. A lot of history as is, and so ain't no surprise it's a football memory here. But next thing, and this one's kind of a fun one, but I assume both of y'all are sports fans in some type of way. What's your favorite sport fan memory? It could literally be any sport and whatnot.
Ooh, that's a tough one. For me, I'd probably say watching my boy Ben Pedigo. He went and played for the Denver East Angels hockey team this year, so we got to go watch them the whole playoffs. But the game at the Pepsi Center against Valor in the state finals, that like high school sports, hockey, I just started getting into hockey this year. One of our buddies, we got to go watch him win a state championship. That's probably my favorite sports fan memory. Just it was a Valor Denver East. It was nuts.
Yeah, definitely that, and pretty basic when huge Broncos fan over here when they won Super Bowl 50. That was mine too. Great memories. Had a very good time.
I got you. So I bet you're pretty excited about Russell Wilson coming through to town, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir.
Hey, it's going to be a good time, man. You know how it is. You know he gets them, but all right, well, hey, good stuff, y'all. Kaleb, Zach, thank you for, kind of putting up with that little tradition there, but had to do it. That's what we do over here. And so let's go ahead and kind of hop into football talk, specifically y'all here. So last year, not a bad year at all. I mean, 4-0 in league. That's pretty good, and then I believe y'all went 6-3 in the regular season. Let's just keep it general for now. But I mean, I'll ask a general question here, and if you want to get into detail on it, go for it. Feel free to do that. But, what were y'all's biggest takeaways from last season? Obviously, y'all were a little bit of a younger team, coming off a year where you were graduating a lot of players who helped this team get to state and whatnot. And so last year, definitely a little bit of a younger team, but still had a very positive record. So, what were the vibes? What were the biggest takeaways from last season for y'all?
For me, like the initial takeaway, I know I didn't really get to be on the field all season long, but the biggest takeaway for me was kind of I got to see what happened when you didn't prepare the right way. All throughout the summer, my job kind of was to prepare my body to be able to play varsity level football against high level teams like Lyman, Centauri, and things like that. And I just didn't put on enough weight in the off season and stuff like that. And I saw what happened when you don't get prepared enough. And then I think all throughout, our entire roster, there was a lot of people who didn't prepare the right way. And it showed when we played against, those top teams in 1A, like Lyman and Centauri. And so that's probably my biggest takeaway that I had.
Yeah, overall in the entire season, I took away that this entire team and the camaraderie we have and the heart that we have is just insane. It's unmatched. You're not going to see that on the scoreboard all the time. And, we had a lot of injuries this season, a lot of issues with some roster spots. But, I just took away that this team has what it takes. And if we can get some things figured out, then we can make it all the way.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me was you can't get complacent. When you're an underclassman, you walk into a program like Strasburg, and it's almost a given that you're going to make the state finals every year. And it's typically, I was lucky enough I got to play as an underclassman, so I kind of was part of that. But for other guys that didn't get to play right away and weren't immersed in the fire right away, it's easy to take that type of thing for granted. Winning, beating teams 42-0, and just at the end of the year, always planning on practicing Thanksgiving Day. So the biggest thing I'd say is just you can't get complacent, because as soon as that happens, especially Strasburg football, you got a big target on your back. Everyone's trying to gun you down. You're going to get everybody's 100% every time. So the biggest thing is you're always hungry. You should be chasing people down rather than letting people catch up to you to that target.
Hey, I like it. Honestly, there's always a lot to learn, especially when you're a younger player walking into a program. You're kind of given the keys and whatnot. There's always going to be some things that probably couldn't have ever possibly prepared for, and you kind of just got to experience it. So I definitely understand that. Love the answers there. And honestly, last year was a little bit of an up and down year. Just going down the schedule real quick. I had to play a 2A team in Platte Valley, which as far as 2A teams go, they're kind of like a little, I don't know. They're like a literal trap game for almost every contender out there. So that's kind of a tough one. Dropped that one only 18-7, not the worst. Then you played Yuma, beat them 19-16. That's a quality team. Then you played Lyman away, by the way, and only lost to them 20-0. That I believe was actually the closest game Lyman played up into state. Obviously, where they did win that one. But tell me a little bit about the vibes with that Lyman game. Landen, I believe that was the game that you got injured in. Was that right?
Yeah, that was.
I got you. So I don't want to bring up any trauma or anything crazy, but hey, tell me a little bit about the vibes going into that game. I mean, obviously that one's away. It's at Lyman, so that's automatically a lot more added onto there. And then on top of that, they're they were a dynasty at the time on an insane win streak, not only in wins but state championship wins. And so, what were kind of the vibes going into that one? What were some things y'all took away from that game there? Does that kind of seem to be a little bit of a game changer? Because then y'all face Centauri the next week, but obviously I kind of felt that maybe that Lyman game was still in the back of y'all's heads.
Definitely, for me at least, the vibe for that Lyman game was a little bit different, just because the history that our programs have had up until that point, especially I think we played them in 3 state championships in a row leading up to that, and so there's always that that story and that history surrounding that game, and then obviously just the atmosphere was awesome, and that was the Broncos game of the week. And so warming up for that game, I mean, there was photographers and all that sort of stuff. So the atmosphere surrounding it was just a lot of fun, and the nerves were a little different. You were more anxious, you were more excited to get out there. And then once the game started, our defense was absolutely holding their own. We played pretty well defensively. Just couldn't really get things going on the offensive side. So even when we went down, 2 scores, 3 scores, I feel like there was never really a lapse in confidence. We knew that if we could get something figured out on the offensive side of the ball, we'd be able to take it because our defense looked great. And I went down. We kind of had to scramble from that sense, and things just didn't really go the right way. And I think that probably did carry into the next week against Centauri, especially because that gives – I mean, JR hadn't worked on quarterback at all up to that point that season, and he had 1 week to get ready for the eventual state champs. So, I mean, that's a hard position for him to be put in, and everyone else around kind of had to scramble. So I think that lineman game definitely carried into the Centauri one a little bit. What do you guys think?
When you go in to play linemen, I mean, us and linemen, we've kind of created a rivalry over the years competing for state championships. You know, we were the top 2 teams for 4 or 5 years. Going into a lineman game every week, I mean, practice the whole week, film on Monday through full pads to walk through on Friday. Everyone's locked in on that week. And I think you have this certain feeling or this image in your mind of how the game's going to go and what it's going to be like when you get there. And to be completely honest with you, when we got to linemen, it was a weird atmosphere. It wasn't one of like the typical game. It was the Broncos game of the week, so there were those festivities. But like linemen, like there was no music going on during the warm up. There was no music on. There were a lot of fans, but everyone was kind of there for the Broncos game of the week stuff. So the vibe was just completely different, and I think that almost even carried into the game where in the game it's like you're playing, but you're just going through the motions, and you can never really get the ball started, never get the ball rolling. So I mean, our defense held its own, but like Landen said, the offensive side of it never got going. And I think the other thing that really hurt us in that game was the big play. I mean, if you look at linemen's scores, we held them on the goal line twice, and I think that a deep pass, a long run from Jay Leeper, and I can't remember the other score, but 2 of the 3 touchdowns were big plays that we didn't strike it or land any of those. So I think that was the biggest thing. Couldn't get the ball rolling, and then just the big play effect that linemen had.
Yeah, those vibes just going into it, like everybody's hyping the game up, Broncos game of the week, and I definitely think it got into some of our guys' heads, just overhyping the game a little bit. We couldn't fully concentrate on what we needed to do, and like these guys said, we held our own on defense, stopped them on the goal line at least 2 times, but really couldn't get anything going on the offensive side, and I really think that killed us. With all the injuries that we had that game, especially with Landen's collarbone going into Centauri, just feel like it kind of brought the team down a little bit.
Fair enough. And that's interesting about the whole music thing. That's a little eerie.
I'm telling you, it was so weird.
I mean, how many high school football games have you been to where there's not music playing during the warm-up? How many?
None. Not even middle school games.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a stigma almost.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might have to ask the lineman boys what's up with that, because that's an interesting way to get ready. But all right then. Well, so obviously, unfortunately, that happened. Then Centauri happened. First off, playing both of those teams back to back sucks, because that's literally never gonna happen any other time. Except for maybe playoffs, but even that's kind of a weird pull there too. So kind of a tough go, and obviously both those teams went to state, put on a great show there as well. Y'all were there too, I believe, and we was there watching, and so kind of a tough go. But after that, Landen, you were obviously out. Well, basically you were out for the rest of the season. There was always that what if, like maybe if y'all made a deep enough playoff run, then maybe you could sneak your way up in there, but it was gonna be tough, but regardless though, Kaleb, Zach, I mean, y'all turned up from this Bennett game all the way down to that last regular season game against Flatirons Academy. Y'all rattled off a number of big dubs, not just like it was a close dub. I mean, the Highland game was pretty close, but I mean, I'm looking at 42-0 versus Bennett. Tough 19-7 game against a tough Highland program. 67-0 on Prospect Ridge. 49-8 on Estes, and then 42-0 on a solid Flatirons team. I mean, what was kind of that run like? Just going on that run after that Lyman Centauri game, not having your quarterback Zach and Kaleb.
When Landon got hurt and coaches told me that to take over as quarterback, it kind of put a lot of pressure on my back, and it kind of forced me to take myself to the next level and really put the team on my back the best way I could. We got Zach running the ball, getting like at least 100 yards a game, really turning up for us. But that little stretch it was crazy, man. All those games, played to the best of our ability. The Highland game, like I said, loved that game. The vibes were unmatched. We just really found our way as a team.
that run, after the big loss to Centauri, that one hurt. And we got back to the basics. It was, what are we going to have to do to set ourselves apart for the rest of the season? And really the answer we came up for was hard work. Leadership, the way we led kind of changed. Coach Brown preached to us. Strasburg's always been one of those teams where it's like you yell, you get on people's butts in order to bring them up. But last year we had kind of a different group to where we changed the leadership. It was more of a positive, picking people up, trying not to get down as much. It was kind of a different angle taken there to bring your teammates up. And, the start of the season, every year, number one goal is to be league champs. That gets us into the playoffs. Number two goal is obviously to win a state championship. So that's what Coach Brown, he preached it week in, week out. That was what we had to do the way we started the season, what we had to do in order to give ourselves an opportunity to get to goal number two was achieve goal number one and become league champs. So I think really we just locked in and it became a job. We knew what we had to do, and luckily we were able to bear down and we got it done.
Say less. I like it. All right. Well, then that was last season, and we talked about the vibes from that and all that. Well, going into this season, first off, Landon, I gotta ask you, how's the collarbone? Are you healthy? How's that whole process been before you hop into this season stuff?
I feel really good. After surgery, it was pretty smooth. I kind of got back into the swing of things pretty quickly, and I've had basically a whole year to kind of recover and learn from everything and kind of get back and get better than I was last year. So I feel really good. It never really bugs me anymore. And now I'm just gearing up for this season.
Say less. That's good to hear, man. That's always very good to hear. Obviously you want all our squads at full strength here so that, you can show up for the season. But, let's talk about this season. So Cody did a season preview on y'all. I believe that is episode 180, where I'm talking to the listeners, or they could check that out if you really want to. Talks about their season last year, and then predicts this season and how he thinks it'll go. I believe he also saw y'all at that 7-on-7 thing that the Denver Broncos put on, and y'all were, I believe, the only team below 3A to make it to the final day. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, there you go. First off, congrats on that. Second, I'm sorry because you had to play Pine Creek, who's like a 5A contender, and they're a good team. Yeah, they're a really good team. So, there you go. But all together, and this is more for the listeners, just so that they know. So Cody had y'all finishing 7-2, probably at best, and then had y'all like worst case scenario, like everything's falling apart, 5-4, which isn't even that bad. But still probably shouldn't happen. And then I believe the only two games he said that y'all might lose here is some sort of combination of this Holyoke, Wiggins, Lyman trio, which y'all have to start the season, which is tough. But some combo of that, and then the rest of these games, y'all are definitely favored in all of them, and y'all should take care of business from there. So there you go. And then on top of that, he did talk about how he is mostly concerned about the defense. Just a lot of guys you're losing, a lot of bodies. You're obviously losing a leader in Matthias Brown. Talked about him earlier on in this interview. And then just a lot of other defensive guys. But offensively, you're basically returning all your skill players. You're basically returning everybody, almost, except for some guys up front, which is probably going to be a big deal, but for now, y'all could definitely live off the skill players you have now. And so I just want to get y'all straight up reaction to it. Do you think it's fair? What are some things you want to throw out there and whatnot? And then we'll continue to talk about this season as well.
Based on our performance against those top teams last year, I kind of understand the doubt for those first three games to start our season this year. I think, in my opinion, we're going to be a lot better. I think we're going to be a lot stronger, more disciplined. I think we'll be faster. A lot of things, and I think we have a lot of guys that are ready to step up and fill in roles and kind of surprise a lot of people as well. And my favorite thing about watching and playing Strasburg football, I remember ever since I was little watching the games. The way we've kind of built our schedule is we want to play the top dogs first and kind of have a trial by fire, and it's kind of let's see how good we really are, and that's not changing this year. So I think I wouldn't have it any other way. I want to see the best teams first, and I want to find out how good we really can be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for this year, we're going to be put in an unfamiliar position, and people are really going to count us as the underdogs in a lot of these games. I think it's just going to push us to go even harder and just outperform these teams even more. And definitely looking at the scoreboard and how we played teams last year, I can see why they're going to count us as the underdogs, but I definitely think this type of group this year is going to be a lot different than last year and a lot better.
I think if you look at our squad that we have coming in, personally, I think we have the best skill room in the state of Colorado, especially for 1A schools. JR Landen at quarterback, he's been looking phenomenal, throwing the ball really well. We have Austin Velasco. He'll be a junior this year. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but he's a real good threat on the outside. Dalton Bergstrom, Egan Stevens. We have depth, and even our depth are phenomenal athletes and understand the game of football really well. So I think, yes, I understand us being the underdog, but I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. We like being in that situation. You have nothing to lose. So I think that's what we're going to take into the season. Nothing to lose, but we have everything to gain. Every opportunity, I think we'll take to the fullest. I have no doubt in the guys around me. And up front, we do have a lot of question marks. That's kind of the big thing around Strasburg football this year. Defensively and offensively, up front, what are we going to have? And I think the thing is, we were so senior heavy and upperclassmen heavy last year that those guys just didn't get an opportunity. And I think those guys have also understood this whole summer, last spring after last football season, that they have big shoes to fill, and they've taken upon their shoulders completely. We've had more offensive and defensive linemen at summer workouts, being involved, being around the team, learning than we ever have before. So I think those guys have done a really good job of preparing themselves, which is kind of where we lacked last year. So I'm excited. I think we'll surprise a lot of people.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely agree with y'all saying that y'all have one of the top skill position groups in the entire state. And, that's just not something that y'all share. Obviously, y'all should believe that anyways. But, I mean, myself, Cody, Mason, even when we talk about it, we're like, yeah, no, they're stacked. And even when we talk with other people in the media, Anthony Garcia, he's one that we've been talking to a lot. We're like, yo, Strasburg, they could outshoot anybody. Pretty much, they could pretty much outshoot everybody, assuming everyone up front does their job and, no dumb mistakes are made, and so that's the potential we're looking at. This is definitely a top, offense in the state at the very least, which isn't a bad thing at all. And so, I mean, I like what you said as well, having a little trial by fire to start the season, that way, honestly, that way it feels like a playoff run, right? I'm looking at Holyoke, Wiggins, Lyman. There's probably a universe where that's a playoff run right there, and so having that experience will be good. And then obviously, I mean, the rest of these teams, no disrespect to them, but as long as y'all take care of business, y'all could still drop those 3 games and still make the playoffs and be in a really good spot. Yeah. So it is what it is there. But, obviously one game at a time, we're going to take care of business. But definitely some names here. Holyoke, I know they have they're losing a couple guys, but they have this kid, Wyatt Sprague, out there. I know y'all know him. Definitely a guy that's been making some noise. I've been keeping my ears down, and some scouts have been noticing him a little bit more. So we'll see how he goes. But definitely having a little bit more of an inexperienced team over there. Then you got Wiggins. They're basically returning everybody except for a lineman or two, which nothing. I mean, he's a great lineman too that they're losing, but still definitely another team that offensively, that could be a fun one. And then you got Lyman here as well, and Lyman's Lyman, so you know how they get down. But just want to throw this out there. So look, y'all have a great schedule here. I think y'all have a really good team. Easily should make a playoffs and shouldn't be a first round and out type of team here. But I'm looking at the schedule, and honestly, man, this Wiggins game, I think I'm actually going to go to this one. If not me, Cody, and the whole crew, we'll go to Strasburg for that one and see what's up. Yeah, that'll be a good one. Also that'll be on my birthday too, so that'll be lit for sure. But
we'll give you a dub for the birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, say less. Say less, man.
Too, so you can get dinner and a show for your birthday.
Hey, I'm down with it. But nah, that should be a good time. That's definitely one that, because I'm going through the schedule and marking down games that will be at. That's definitely one that I for sure want to go to, because I've been wanting to go to Strasburg for a game for a minute now. So there you go. But for y'all, I do want to ask you, are there any games on the schedule, or maybe, I don't know, like a part of the season that y'all are most looking forward to?
For me, I don't know, the coolest thing about playing small town football is, like, every week there's someone on the opposing team that, I mean, most of the kids we play against, I know a couple of them. I've talked to a couple of them. There's definitely a little bit of trash talking back and forth. And also I turn around a month after season and I end up playing them in basketball too, so I know them pretty well. And I'm really excited. Obviously for the lineman one, it's kind of a redemption game for me to show that I'm not just going to break down, that we as a team, we're bouncing back and we're ready to get back on top. So lineman for sure. And then I'm really excited for Wiggins. I know a lot of those kids. Cole Kerr, I've got to play against him since, pretty much elementary school. So, that's kind of the cool part about small town football is you can kind of get more into, those kind of matchups just because there's something a little more personal there because you know who you're going up against. So Wiggins and lineman definitely for me.
I'd probably say lineman and Wiggins too. Lineman's fun. It's a rivalry game. We got a little redemption there coming that we're excited for. But Wiggins, I wrestle with all those guys up there from Wiggins, Laith Ibrahim, Pepper Rusher. My cousin, actually, who's my coach in the summer, is the head wrestling coach at Wiggins. So I know all those guys really well. Trey Fazicki, Cole Kerr. I go up and hang out with those guys a lot. We find a little trouble to get into up north there. So I like those guys a lot. But we also have like a little rivalry going. We've been talking about playing them since we scrimmaged them last year before the season. And we were honestly kind of like a deadlock scrimmage. Landen was actually sick for that scrimmage. Yeah. But no, so that one, we've been talking about playing them. We got a couple wagers going on who's going to get that one. So I'm really excited for Wiggins.
Yeah, definitely for me, the two rivalry games, Lyman and Bennett. Lyman definitely very competitive game. Excited to go out, see what this team can do against them. Bennett, I'm sure we'll take care of business with them. But, it's a rivalry game, 6 miles apart. Everyone's going to go to that.
Battle of the Bridge.
Yep, Battle of the Bridge.
Hey, there you go, man. There you go. And I just realized as well, this whole first month is basically almost all at home. Betting game's not even that far either. So that'll be y'all get the town jumping if y'all get out to a good start there. So that'll be a lot of fun for sure. All right, then we'll say less. All right, so kind of talking about the season a little bit more here. I do want to ask y'all what are some keys to success here for this season? What are some things that y'all really feel like, we need to nail this for us to have a good season, not only have a good regular season, but make a nice playoff run here? But what are some keys to success?
Keys to success, I'd say for us, number one, the big question mark everyone's wondering about is up front. Like I said, those guys have done a phenomenal job getting ready, but I think that's the biggest thing is offensively getting a good pocket for Landen, good push on our run game. We've traditionally been a run-heavy game. And so based off of that, I would also say a big key to success for us this year is our air attack. We've got a lot of threats on the outside. We've got Landen. He has a whole year of experience. Now he's got that bad taste in his mouth. He's been ready to get back after it. So I think the air attack, if we can get that going, that's a big key to success. Then also defensively, answering those question marks. Losing Matthias Brown, Bryce Maestis, all those guys up front, Wilson Ames, Jesse Burt, they did a really good job for us defensively. But I think our younger guys up front on the defensive line, if we get a good push from those guys, and then myself and Hayden Turner at safety, I think those will be good for the run game. And then we have JR and Dalton Bergstrom on the edge. So honestly, defensively, I think all around keys to success up front, we stop the run, safeties help stop the run, and then corners and safeties stop the air attack. So those are my keys.
For me, a big key, it's kind of especially for me, but making sure I go into every week and every game prepared. I've watched, enough film and I know what to expect and kind of have my mind ready for, if it's going to be a game where I get a lot of pressure or what I'm going to see, what's going to be open. So just being prepared goes especially for me, but also for everyone else. The more you know what to expect in the game, a lot more composure you're going to have, and you're going to settle in a lot quicker. So that's definitely a big one for me. And then, like Zach said, just up front, they're question marks, but a lot of potential. And I think I speak for everyone kind of surrounding our program when I say we're very excited to see how those guys step in to the shoes that they need to fill. So just preparation and kind of how things go up front are the two biggest keys to success for me.
Yeah, definitely for me, the attitude we have coming into the game. We have to come in thinking that we're gonna kill every team that we play. Can't come in thinking that we might lose this game. We have to have that dog mentality. And also both sides of the ball, the line. Got to get some pressure from the defensive side. Got to get a good pocket. Keep the pressure away from Landen on the offensive side of the ball. Young guys how to step up.
I like what you said there. Young guys got to step up. So speaking of young guys, now I want you to think about the underclassmen on your team. Some guys who maybe aren't underclassmen but haven't had much varsity play so far. And let us know. Who is somebody that we should be looking out for to have a breakout season among this young group that isn't as proven yet, haven't had their chance, but that chance might be coming up this season.
All right, I got two to start off. One of them, my boy Austin Velasco. He's in my grade, but up to this point, he got a little bit of time at receiver towards the end of the year there. But the way it's looking right now is he'll be a two-way starter. He'll play some outside backer and some wide receiver. And I mean, he's 6'3", he's long, he's fast, he can jump, got really good hands. He kind of got his first taste of, I guess, what it's like to compete at this level in basketball last season. And, he showed out and got all conference honors. So, and just watching the way he came out and competed every day makes you that much more excited to see what he's going to do on the football field. So I expect huge things from Austin. He's got all the potential in the world, and I can't wait to see what he does. And then another one is he's going to be a sophomore. His name's Ian Ross. He'll probably play linebacker or kind of a defensive end type role on the defensive side, and then he'll end up playing tackle. He's one of the first freshmen I've ever seen throw around 225 on bench. He's just a maniac. He's always in the weight room, obsessive worker, and on the football field you see this look in his eyes, and he just wants to take someone's head off. So that's always the type of guy you want to go side by side with when you're going into battle. So Ian for sure, and then Austin are kind of my two.
Mine would have to be my boy Charlie Spriggs. That's kind of been my boy for after last season. He came and he said, look, I want to do big things next year. So he's been in the weight room. He's been working hard. Last year during football season, he didn't even have weight training on his schedule. And about halfway through the year, he got it changed. It was something with his parents, and they wanted him to take college classes or something. But after football, he went to his parents. He got it figured out with the school. So he's been in the weight room every day at school. He's been to every summer workout. That dude's just locked in. He'll be playing, I believe, a guard and a D tackle for us. Charlie's just mean, gritty. He's not afraid to work hard, and he's not afraid of anybody. So he'll get in anybody's chest. We've already been talking to him about the Wiggins game. He'll be against my boy Lath. So I've been telling him already. He's excited for that matchup, So I've watched that game a lot. It's going to be a big test for him, but I think he's ready.
Yeah, definitely those guys, Austin, Ian Ross, Charlie Spriggs. Can't wait to see what those guys do. Hope they step up, and definitely know they will. Another guy that I really hope to see step up and, really take on a lead role in the line is Al Dickens. Hopefully he just fill those shoes of wherever he plays, wherever you end up putting him. But really excited to see how he does and competes.
Say less. Well, y'all, I am super excited for y'all's season. It's going to be great, honestly. Like I said, hey, September 2nd, Friday, 7 p.m. at Strasburg. PMC crew, we finna be up there. Obviously, y'all be down there competing. That should be one of the top tier clashes not just in 1A, but in all of football straight up. So that'll be a big one. Boys, honestly, thank you so much for being on the show. I do want to always just leave some time here at the end for y'all to just shout out anybody who has helped y'all get here. And then from there, I mean, just last words and stuff, and then we could wrap this thing up here. But go ahead, take as much time as you want shouting out people, but go ahead and do y'all's thing.
I'll just go shout out these fellas for coming on with me. I knew they'd have a lot of good stuff to say, and I wanted everyone to hear it. So just shout out these two, and shout out all my teammates. Can't wait for a good season.
Good, yeah. Definitely shout out these boys, all my teammates, showing up every day in the weight room, coming to practice, and shout out to coaching staff, my boy Coach Ross, holding us accountable in the weight room, helping us get a little bit bigger and more athletic. Just shout out to all those guys.
Shout out to the Strasburg community also.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys got our back 100%. Shout out to you guys for giving us the opportunity to come on here and say our piece. You guys have done a lot of good things for Strasburg football, Colorado football in general. And, shout out to the whole coaching staff, the boys. Everyone's been working hard. We know what we have in Strasburg, and we're all getting ready to show it. So just shout out to everybody that's believed. Shout out to the haters. We got a big show coming up this season. We're excited. So thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Hey, man, it's an absolute pleasure whenever we get to talk to y'all, whether it's on air or off air. So ain't no problem at all. Appreciate y'all coming on and all that great stuff. Best of luck this season. We'll see you in Strasburg, if not before for any reason. But we'll see you there in Strasburg September 2nd, man. Should be a good time regardless. It'll be our game of the week. And to you, the listeners out there, if you don't got anything going on September 2nd, Strasburg, just a couple miles outside of Denver, make the trip. It's not even really that crazy of a trip. There's farther places for sure. So there you go there. But yeah, thank you so much for rocking with us, and we'll catch y'all later.